Alhaji Shehu Gabam, who is the National Secretary of the Social Democratic Party and was also the vice presidential candidate for the party in the last general elections. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Great pleasure, thank you.
We also have with us Major Ibrahim Bantam, retired Major Ibrahim Bantam, who is the CEO of Salamanda Security, a former coordinator at National Communications Agency. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, gentlemen, you have seen and heard in the last couple of days a number of things happening in the country. I think it was last week we understood that even in the president's hometown, bandits invaded, and that the president's ADC's father-in-law was kidnapped. Now we understand that what they call that now, the Commissioner of Police in Katsina State has relocated to Daura. But you know, listening to the president yesterday, he's just returned from London. You know, correspondents asking him about the security situation in the land, and he says he believes the Inspector General is still losing weight, so he must be doing something about it. Did that give you any comfort? Let's start with you, General. I'm sorry, beg your pardon, Major Ibrahim.
Actually, it gives a lot of concern, the current situation we are getting ourselves in now. The Boko Haram started like a joke in the northeast, and then it escalated, you know, to what we are seeing now. Mm-hmm. Now, northwest started just like a play, and then now it's escalating to a war zone that is more, even not comparable to the Boko Haram now. You find that you cannot travel 5 kilometers outside any state capital now, especially Zamfara, Katsina, and Kaduna. We live in Kaduna and work in Abuja. We find it very difficult to travel now these days. And it gives me concern, you know, to who to hold responsible for this. I think the security agencies will have to double up their effort and then coordinate themselves properly.
Well, I'm sure you heard over the weekend as well the statement of the military talking about plans to scuttle May 29 inauguration. They had alleged that some people had tried to scuttle the elections. They also alleged that some unpatriotic elements are collaborating with these people who are making the country even more unsafe. But we will come to that shortly. Let me quickly ask you, Alhaji Shehu Gabam, whether you had any comfort from the president's utterances yesterday saying that the IGP is losing weight, so it should mean that he's doing something about the security situation.
Well, first and foremost, in the situation of heart bleeding, no responsible Nigerian would tell you that he's comfortable with what is going on. Innocent life being killed without knowing the reason for it, abdication of responsibility. I'm just watching the members of the National Assembly making some mere expressions. They abdicated their responsibility as well. They are within...
They have? How?
Yes, of course they have. As
Have
parliamentarians, they have the overwhelming authority and power to call those that are responsible to order, to scrutinize them, to expand the thinking beyond rhetoric of inviting people to talk about what is going on. There are a lot that they can do. There are a lot of oversight functions that have to do with the security of the country. They are elected to do that, just that, to keep the country going. And the part of the executive, I haven't seen any action being taken to call the situation to order. The situation is escalating on a daily basis. I haven't seen a major proactive measures from the security agencies to curtail the situation. It appears on a daily basis the network of the banditry and the criminals is expanding on a daily basis. And for me, I wasn't shocked about it because right from day one, some of us have raised these issues. You have to do a lot as a government to bring a policy that is a national policy that will deal with some of these issues that have been developing right from infantry. For instance, One of the best policy the late President Yaradua have done on this amnesty thing should be a national program that will serve as an intervention in the situation where you have a crisis that you have not prepared for. He mentioned Boko Haram. He made some of these issues, for instance, that have to do with the Fulani herdsmen and the farmers, was part of the responsibility of what we are seeing today. Because those that have lost their farms, those that have lost their cows, there was no policy, no program, absolutely, either to rehabilitate them or to train them in any kind of skill that will engage their source of livelihood. They have no job doing at all. You can imagine a farmer whose primary responsibility is go to farm in the morning and conduct his farming business, or a Fulani man whose daily responsibility is to rear his cattle, is no more available. And he is not in any way or in any form being educated either in Islamic knowledge or Western education knowledge, or have no skill at all. The next thing available to him is to find a means of livelihood, rightly or wrongly. And that is why most of them end up selling what they have to purchase the weapons, because criminals have infiltrated them, have indoctrinated them, as they are using them as a weapon of destruction against a state, fighting a state, a non-state actors purchasing arms to fight a state, to bring a state to a standstill. And that is why the situation now have taken over the entire North. Not just the North. If you look at the other part of the country, like the South, the massive insecurity in rivers is unprecedented, even though underreported. So these are issues that as a nation, we must face it squarely, deal with it squarely, beyond political rhetorics, beyond regional issues, beyond religious issues. Because the moment we begin to align our thinking along religious and ethnic issues, we will never face the reality, and it will end up consuming us as a nation.
Well, he's delved a little into the causes of what we're currently seeing in the North. Do you buy or do you share his point of views on the causes of insecurity in the North, especially in the Northwest now?
Absolutely. That may differ in the fact that people are insinuating. I don't think there is any body that is insinuating, to make the government fail in its duties. But the fact is, like he rightly said, people have been indoctrinated and trained, and now they don't have anything to do. Politicians have recruited people, to work for them during election campaign. Now, no more election, and these people have nothing to do. So it depends on how courageous you are. Some people can go out and then, look for any other job. Others will say, he doesn't have, and why this person has. Why should he not go and find any other means of enriching himself? And that is what we are going through now.
So you also see a share for the politicians there?
Sure.
Which you conveniently left out.
No, I did not. Look, if there's any problem that is ravaging this country today, it's the politicians. They are responsible for this mess. Because the idea of I must win at all costs was part of this problem. People resort to recruiting criminals to conduct criminal behavior simply because they have a political objective. People do not believe that power sometimes comes from God, or all the times. They believe at all costs they must get that power. And that accounts for some of the situations he have narrated. As an operational person, I believe politicians must account for their deeds. They must go beyond rhetoric. They must understand that we don't have any nation except Nigeria. There must be a nation before you seek to govern that country. We have gone through a lot of pains. The struggle for the restoration of democracy from 1999 to date have consumed a lot. A lot of Nigerians have made a lot of sacrifice. Some of the founding fathers are no longer alive. We have laid a solid foundation to move this country forward. At all times, you'll find elements who have been around the cycle, who have acquired illegal wealth, and they are using it against the nation. They are injecting it into criminals to undermine and destabilize the country for the sake of their political objective. And I think this is where I really differed with the people that are in authority. Power is about doing a very taking a very decisive decision, very consistent decision, irrespective of who is involved. The moment you begin to mix reality with sentiment of ethnicity or religion, you will never provide decent and decisive leadership.
Can you expatiate? What do you mean by that? Where have you seen that, these sentiments have been mixed up and as such we're not achieving
I can
results?
tell you very, very, very clearly. We have record in this country beyond 1999. In fact, when Obasanjo was coming in as a president-elect, there was a security report which have clearly spelled out that pocket of dangers across the length and breadth of Nigeria. And the report recommends that decisive action needs to be taken to nip it on board. And I will give credit to President Obasanjo. He tried and he provided a decisive leadership. And that is why when some of the crisis started erupting, he quickly nipped it. You could remember the issue of Benue, where military officers were beheaded. You can remember certain areas where decisive action was taken and the situation was brought under control. The Boko Haram thing was because there was a lack of political will to deal with it decisively. When the late president was going for his medical trip, he left a decisive order that hunt them where they are and deal with them decisively. That was a follow-up. That led to the escalation of the Boko Haram. There was no decisive decision from the executive to deal with the issue. They begin to deal with the issue and interpret the issue along ethnic and religious lines. That some of these people are organizing this act of crime and criminality because they don't like President Jonathan. And before the presidency realizes that that situation has escalated beyond religious issue, because the issue then was that it's fighting the Christians, killing the Christian community. They discovered that they are killing virtually everybody, both the Muslims and the Christians. And by the time the government waked up from its slumber, the situation has escalated beyond just Borno, Yobe states. Now, there are a lot of reports that have taken place. There was no president that have exercised a will to take decisive decision and establish a consequences for people who take laws into their hand, kill innocent people, and bring everybody to face the consequences of his action. People treat issues, those in authority, with a lot of sentiment, with a lot of massaging, because of either political differences, or because of religious colorations, or because of regional issues. You have issues that have based this country over a long period of time.
I'm glad that as you're a politician and you're saying this, I mean, let's quickly look at the statement credited to the military, for instance, where they're saying that they're a credible threat, or there is a threat to try to scuttle the presidential inauguration come May 29. Now, they also made reference to the general elections, and some people did try to scuttle it. They say that there are people who are collaborating with these people, sending them messages and also funding them as well. And right now, what we seem to be seeing are different responses from the political class. Is it possible for the political class to ever be united or agreed in terms of what the problems could be? I think as a statement from the Nigerian Army now. The Nigerian Army has noted with great concern efforts by some unpatriotic individuals, groups and foreign interests determined to cause mischief and exacerbate the security situation in this country. I think if they could go back to the former slide there, we could see in totality what it is that the Nigerian Army is saying. But for our viewers, I'm sure that they can see that they're also alleging that there are people making concerted efforts to further induce ISWAP and Boko Haram terrorists and bandits with funds and other logistic support. That's part of the allegation the military is making. Do you think that the political class could ever come together, regardless of their differences, in such a way that they do not politicize it? Because some people will say that there's still efforts to make the current government look bad. I mean, the jury will be out as to whether or not this government is doing as much as it can and as much as it ought to, given the resources that is at its disposal. But while the people judge that, is it possible for the political class to say this is a problem that is affecting our national security, that is affecting our existence as a country, and come together to see how it is they can find a solution to the problem? Is it possible?
Now let me tell you this. These are military institutions. that have gathered intelligence on what is going on within the political class and outside the political class. And they also allege there are foreign sponsors and internal also sponsors within the country. Now, in a nation where you have a functional laws, where decisive action has been taken, those intelligence that have gathered around those individuals are they above the law? They're not above the law. They are within the parameters of our territory, governed by our laws. And this country has sufficient laws to deal with such individuals. Why haven't they acted? Why shouldn't they pick those individuals? What are they afraid of? Why shouldn't they present their fact before Nigerians? They are looking for the support of Nigerians. Nigerians have given them more than sufficient support. I have the highest respect for the security agencies of this country. They are some of the best brains we have around the world that Nigeria have produced. I come from a family that have served in the army. I'm still serving in the army. So I know what it is. They are having a sleepless night protecting this country. But the issue is this. The moment, like I have said, you compromise your statutory responsibility as a security agencies to do their job, devoid of sentiment or emotion, some of these issues will not come up. The military have the power, the security agencies and the police, the overriding authority, constitutionally given to them, to deal with any element, any individual who is behaving in a way and a manner that will compromise the security and the safety of the Nigerian citizens. The fundamental responsibility of a power, by people that have taken out of office is the protection of lives and property. That is being abdicated.